So, good evening, everyone. We can start the session now. Financial fraud is a crime that can have a devastating impact on individuals and businesses. It is important to be aware of the different types of financial fraud and to take steps to protect yourself from becoming a victim. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of TheBrainery. The topic for today's episode is financial fraud, prevention, and protection. As a speaker for today's episode, we have with us Ms. Chandrakala Purohit. Ms. Purohit is an accomplished professional with a diverse career that extends over a decade. Throughout her professional journey, she has gained valuable experience in various industries, including healthcare, finance, and e commerce. With a strong leadership acumen, Ms. Purohit consistently demonstrates her ability to drive results and make a meaningful impact on the organizations she collaborates with. Her unwavering dedication to adding value to the organizations she works with distinguishes her as a proactive and influential leader in her field. She is currently serving as new businesses head of PayPoint India. PayPoint India is a leading provider of payment solutions and services in India. It offers a range of innovative payment solutions to businesses and individuals, aiming to simplify transactions and enhance financial inclusion. PayPoint India offers wide range of services such as AEPS, Aadhaar-enabled payment services, utility bill payments, insurance, travel booking, and many more. I'm extremely happy to share that PayPoint India and SMC are associated digitally as a strategical business partner for insurance business. All the participants are requested to drop their queries in the chat box. In case any of their queries remain unanswered due to shortage of time, our experts will get in touch with them. Once again, ma'am, welcome to the show. Welcome, Chandra, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Himanshi. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. And thank you for having me here.
Thank you, ma'am, for being here. So before we begin, we would like to hear your views on PayPoint India and SMC partnership.
Thank you so much. So PayPoint India, as Himanshi mentioned, is a financial service provider, and we provide financial services to the last mile. Basically, we try to reach the Bharat of this country. So, people like us sitting in Bombay big offices, or in Delhi big offices, we think this is only Bharat, but this is not Bharat. What I would differentiate is there's a divide in India in our country actually as India and Bharat. So we probably represent the India, and what we intend to do, or what we are trying to do here, is sell all kind of financial services to people of Bharat as well as India. So we are a business correspondents for some of the main big PSUs, and simultaneously we have our own range of products, which we kind of make it available through a retail network of over 65,000 pan India. So through these retail counters, we service the people who want to be included in financial inclusion and be a part of the digital India. So that is what PayPoint is, and I'm glad to have joined this company a few months back. And just when I joined the company a few months back, and we said, okay, let's venture into insurance as well as it being one of the products that we wanted to bring into the foray. And thanks to then, SMC coming into the picture, and our integration so far has been very smooth. We have started rolling out policies through these retail counters, which are pan India. And so far it is going pretty good. We just started off. So we're hoping from here the numbers are only and only going to go on the rise, and more policies we can issue, and SMC and PayPoint together can cater to that segment of the country which wants insurances, but which struggle to get the best rates and best possible coverage. So thank you for the tie-up.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. We are also extremely happy to have PayPoint as one of our business partners.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So as we know that the topic for today's session is financial fraud, protection and prevention. And as
Yes.
we all know that there has been a surge in financial crime, scammers are using different ways of fooling people. The most recent one being receiving calls from international numbers and messages on WhatsApp related to part-time jobs.
Yes.
Like what are some common types of financial fraud and how can individuals and businesses protect themselves against them?
So, some of the most common financial frauds which I have been noticing since I have come into so I have a financial background, and so I see the kind of frauds that are there. There are credit card frauds, there are financial statement frauds, then there are identity frauds. So, and obviously, the fraudsters with each passing day are becoming more and more smarter. The frauds have become more and more sophisticated. So yes, these are some of the frauds where they ask you for your bank details, or they lure you into an offer which you can't deny, and then you think, okay, this is it. And I think some of those frauds we have been seeing pan India, like, and with that number increasing, there's social engineering also that takes place when these frauds, because there are people from probably within an organization, or which could be in the form of our channel partners, which could be in the form of our employees, which kind of, become very instrumental part in these kind of frauds taking place. So yeah, there is a number of them. There's a huge list of them, but some of the ones that we face right now is, wherein we are giving out so many financial services, and there is social engineering. So wherein, it could be our employees, or or for example, with PayPal, what is happening is that, our codes, there's some dummy websites that are created, and through those some dummy websites or dummy portals, our codes are generated, codes are given out to people who are not even registered on our own portals. So those kind of frauds which we are facing, but we are trying to mitigate that and understand how we can control it. And obviously there is the cybercrime cell where we are trying to address these issues and ensure that, these frauds can be reduced.
Yes, like protecting ourselves from fraud requires a combination of awareness. We need to be cautious. We need to adopt some security measures as
Yes.
well. Like, there is a need to stay informed and up to date with common phishing techniques and online fraud schemes.
Yes. Yes. Awareness is very important, because an awareness doesn't only lie with the individual customer, it also lies as a responsibility of a financial institution, or the regulatory authorities to keep educating people about it,
Yes.
because we have to create that awareness even through education, through understanding, through knowledge sharing. And it's very, very important to keep telling them that, sometimes the offers are so luring that you think there can't be anything better. So we have to even control our greed as customers. That, it leads you to losses, and that loss is much more than how much you earn out of it. So yes.
There is a definitely there is a need of awareness campaigns and
Yes.
the most famous one being RBI Kehta Hai by RBI. So, and ma'am, identity theft is also one of the most common financial fraud. So could you
Yes.
please tell us in detail like what is identity theft and what are the ways of preventing it from happening?
So identity theft is basically when somebody has used your identification documents to get a service, and to get access to certain kind of say finance loans or insurances, or some kind of financial services which you as an original person would have not even applied for it. For example, you see Aadhaar cards and PAN cards, they are supposed to be sacred documents of the government, right? But then what happens? They do get morphed. So your identity is being robbed. People, and it happens via, when people are sending us emails, messages, we kind of open emails that don't belong to us, or we open pop-ups and messages, and instruments get hacked, and you see that all your Aadhaar cards, your PAN cards, they can all be mocked, and people can get all those personal details of yours. which are used to get a lot of services which is not exactly used. So that leads to a lot of loan fraud, mortgage frauds, and many of those kinds which affects your reputation, which affects, you could dupe people of money. You could, like for example, if Chandrakala's documents are forged, and people kind of create like as pay points dummy website also, right? What do? You go and sell it out to people saying that, so your pay points identity got stolen, and Chandrakala Purohit's identity can be stolen for creating a Ponzi scheme where I'm inviting people to invest, but that doesn't belong to those people. I mean, that doesn't belong to any genuine resource where they're so, and then genuine resource and all the money and everything goes for a loss. I think that's the main identity fraud, and it's sad, but it happens. And I think with the constant increase in us being online, right? Us, we are like digitally everywhere. Even our Aadhaar cards, PAN cards, everything is accessible. So we are all open to, or we are targets of that, but we should be more careful about sharing informations.
Definitely, ma'am. Ma'am, like, what is the role of cybersecurity, like, in preventing financial fraud, and what are some best practices for cybersecurity?
So some of cybersecurity, I think that's why I think now we have a cybercrime cell, right? Because with the more and more people getting online, with digitalization, with new financial product innovations, with innovations in every field, it is happening that the amount of fraud has also increased, and so the sophistication, the way the fraud is done, has also increased. So cybersecurity is like an utmost. So that can be done by us, putting firewalls, keeping our not using public Wi-Fi's, or keeping our not sharing or storing some of our very intricate and our very important details on maybe phones or emails, not opening emails which we from unknown people that comes, and and for your mobiles, as you rightly pointed out initially, that there are a lot of WhatsApp calls that have been coming from international numbers, right? And there are a lot of these job interviews telling you that they're going to give you lucrative offers and all that. So we have to be very careful and not engage with those kind of things. The only thing we can do is report and block. So that way you're safeguarding your phone. So we have to have those measures in place in order to safeguard our devices, because that's where we are mostly present these days, right? So cybersecurity is extremely important. Your PC should be properly protected with whatever tools you can get. So is your mobiles with apps, whichever can give you security, and even not sharing your usernames, your passwords on messages, on phones. All that is very important to ensure you are safeguarding yourself.
Definitely, ma'am. Like, we should definitely avoid clicking on links as you shared, like, because it can lead to financial losses. Like, if you enter your confidential information there, then you'll get
It's very easy for them to hack it. They have also become smarter.
this, ma'am. And then we can also check for grammatical errors. Like, if there is any
Yes.
fraudulent message, then they make lots of
Yes.
mistakes also.
Or if any offer you get on an email with saying they're going to give you out a loan, or they are giving your CIBIL score is suddenly that high, you can do so much, or you're qualified for something, or like say a credit card, right? You're qualified with your limits increase. I get some of those messages. I've not even applied for a credit card. So you've got to be careful. You've got to be very careful what you're indulging in on your various social media platforms and online.
Ma'am, like, what is the role of financial institutions in preventing fraud, and what measures do they typically put in place to protect their customers?
So, see, financial institution like us, we have put in as many measures as possible. So, we are the RBI regulated. So, we have two-way authentications. We follow all the protocols that are set by the regulatory authorities. So, as an institution, I think every first and foremost, of course, as we pointed out in the previous few questions, that there has to be an awareness that needs to be created. There needs to be constantly texts or messages which are going out to retailers, or if you come across saying that this is a dummy portal, and this is not my portal, the moment you feel it is hacked or something has happened, it's important to put out the message to everybody that do not service anything that comes out of these kind of links and all. So as an institution becomes my big responsibility to protect my consumers at the end of the day, which are my B2B retail partners and the end consumers. So even at various retail outlets, we do put out messages like that do not share your pin, because we have a lot of things happening through pins, through OTPs. So we have to ensure that they don't share those kind of things. So then institute, I need to be putting all measures in place, whatever is required to safeguard my customer as much as possible, following all protocols. But we still get subject to frauds. And unfortunately, it is always the institution which gets held up and not the person in between who did the fraud.
Yes,
So we become liable for that. So that's why we have to keep all the measures and be doubly sure about it.
yes, it is important for the financial institutions to take security measures and at the same time to make people aware of it, right?
Yes.
Yes, all these security measures are put in place and how to.
Yeah, and also what happens is sometimes if this fraud has happened, rather than lingering over it, we straight away go to the authorities and report it, because the sooner you report it, the faster the action is taken. Sometimes it also falls, we fall flat on the face, because the regulatory bodies might just say that you are responsible for this, because maybe that's our responsibility to create that awareness, to make people feel safe when they're coming to transact with us. And we are trying all our measures, but yeah, sometimes it falls back to us, but we are okay with that, as far as people are getting more and more safe and they feel trusted.
Yes, ma'am. Definitely. So there is one question from one of our participants. Akhil is asking, to safeguard the money, people have now started operating 2 to 3 bank accounts. Do you think this is a relevant way to safeguard the money?
Hi, Akhil. Thank you so much for the question. So even I have done that whenever I have probably at some point in time 4 to 5 bank accounts. The idea of that was, because there is only up to a certain amount that you get in insurance in case of bank frauds. So it's not a very bad idea, but not that many. 2 or 3 is kind of okay, but the problem becomes then you have to weigh your pros and cons in terms of accessibility, in terms of the charges, and in terms of but yeah, I mean, but if you're going, and but you have to make sure that your all your phones are properly protected with, I mean, your banking and your bank accounts are properly protected with different kind of strong passwords. In case if you have a similar password for all 3 of them, if you're open to, being, robbed of one, you might be open to being robbed of 3 also. It's very individual. But I think maybe 1 or 2 bank account is not that bad an idea. But do not outstretch yourself.
Pretty. I hope, Akhil, your question is answered. And definitely, ma'am, as you said, that we should be using multiple factor authentication and we should not be using a single password for different accounts. Like,
Yeah.
should be using unique passwords. So now, ma'am, I would like to ask you, what are some emerging trends in financial fraud and how can individuals and businesses stay up to date on the latest threats?
So I think the emerging frauds, like, see, I can talk about it from like our business perspective also. So we have, as you mentioned, that we have the APS services that we offer. So since we know that Aadhaar cards can also get forged, so there have been issues where at retailer points people have come with the same Aadhaar. 3, 4 people would have come with the same Aadhaar card. So then we have taken measures of only having that particular product's rollout only from the distributor's desk in order to reduce the amount of frauds. So emerging trends could be anything, like, I mean, how what's happening in credit cards, wherein, people are saying that, they say, look, we may not even have a credit card or debit card, and when they call up and you're going to say about you've earned so many points on certain shopping things, or you've earned so many things, and then they say you get equivalent amount of money cashback vis-a-vis how many points you have. So when that fraud, so when that happens, and then start asking you private and personal informations, just stop at once. Because if the banks or a credit card company had to give you the bonuses, they would give it to you by calling you up, or they would call you, or they would send you some message from authentic sources, right? So the trends might still be the same, or it would get even more worse in terms of people now. There are chances. For example, I think now with the UPI being enabled, UPI becoming an instrument for payment everywhere. So what happens is that, sometimes you might make a very small amount of payments, say maybe 200 or 300 by UPI, exposing your main bank account. So as Akhil had asked, you could have maybe two accounts. One could be for your laundry list of transactions. One is where your major savings are, right? So it can do a laundry list from one, because if you with the UPI, we are paying probably maybe a rickshaw wala or taxi wala, Ola, Uber. We're making small payments. So we're actually getting exposed to our accounts being open, and it could be hacked, and all your amount from there could be gone, could be swiped within a blink of an eye. So, the other thing you could do is maybe have a secondary account where it is not connected to your main bank account, and you can do your laundry list of transactions there. So I see those with the UPI being enabled, as safe as it is, we're also being exposed to lots and lots of these various open, channels where, we could be defrauded. So that could be one of the things with the emerging, payment solutions, or, payment modes coming. So I think, yeah, maybe that could be one of the biggest showstopper in terms of frauds. So we should be really
Definitely.
careful.
We should avoid providing confidential financial information to unauthorized sources.
As much as you want prevent it, since we are all on digital medium today, right? There's nothing private. There is nothing that can't be tracked or can't be hacked. But as much as we can be possibly protect ourselves, and be sure, and be try to address where the source is and all that, I think we should be good.
Definitely. So there is one more question from Akhil's side. He is asking, is our money deposited in the bank account insured? Like in case we are trapped in a scam, can we get the money back?
So what happens is if your money deposit in the bank account insured. So we all know that money deposit in the bank account, in case the bank fails, there's only a certain amount of money that is insured. I don't know the exact figure, but I think it's around two, or within 2 to 5 lakhs. So even if you have more than that, you're only going to be insured up to that account amount. You're not going to get more than that. But if in case you are trapped in a scam, I see that sometimes, the liability also falls on banks. So they do try to help you as much as possible. But if the whole banking system or the whole bank falls in a scam, then you probably would get only as much as you're insured for, which is legally by rules and regulations insurance that's given to every bank account holder.
I hope, Akhil, your question is answered. So is there anyone who would like to share his or her personal experience of falling into such scams and traps?
Yeah. This is Saf,
I
and
said,
actually, I have experienced like a call from someone who is claimed to be from Paytm, and he was asking to like there's some the KYC is being like declined, so you need to follow some step, and after that your KYC will be completed, and you also there is also agreed there that there's some amount of cashback, you will get this amount of cashback. So initially it was looking like a, yeah, I will, because they will, what they do, they will just show one fear and then keep one greed and couple these two things to make you to do some, do what they want. So I, okay, so I said, what should I do? I got the, I suspicious that call, but I just continued. So they said, okay, you have, I've just send you a link of the APK. You need to install that APK, and then you can do the KYC. Then I just, then I got confirmed that this is obviously, this is not a call from Paytm, because obviously then I said, okay, I've already installed the Paytm app in my mobile, so what is the need of installing another app? So they said, no, you need to do, otherwise you will not get cashback and your KYC will not be get, and you will not able to do payment and all those things. So I said, okay, I'm not going to install any other app, because whatever you want to do, you just, I'm opening my Paytm app. Just for whatever you want to do, just ask me to do from this app only. So he got this, from that point he just got able to know that I'm not going to get in trap of this person, of him. So he just stopped the that conversation and start doing other thing, like, okay, you will not able to do this and that, and then I'll just end the call. So the thing is that obviously there's common sense, which if we have, if we just do, we just require a little common sense. Obviously I can, we can easily able to crack trap and not able to get in the trap of these person, this person and whatever the people are doing it.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing. And definitely, we should report these incidents to the banks. Like, if such happens with us, then definitely we should report these incidents. There is one more question from, again, from Akhil. He is asking that recently he got a call from this stranger saying your father has asked to deposit money in the bank account. So this kind of a fraud like this has also happened with me. One day also, like few months ago, I also received a call from an unknown number, and it told me that your father has asked him to transfer money to my account. So like I was aware of this incident because this incident had happened with one of my cousins, and she ended up losing around 10 to 15,000 rupees. So like I was saved
Your
from.
father has to tell a bank to make a deposit on your behalf, then there are a lot of things you need to work on. First of all, the cyber security, and then talk to your father as to why would he ask a bank to tell you that a deposit has to be made, right? So it's just ways of getting to you emotionally, psychologically, in every which way, so that they are smart. They know how to play human emotions too, right? So one person might just get aggressive, or ask the father that how dare you ask a bank to call me, or you could just get very emotional about it and respect your father's decision and just give the bank the details, and zoop you go, your money that is already there, it's all going to go.
And yes, ma'am, I was saved from becoming a victim because I was aware of this incident because my it happened with my cousin. So
Yes, Sachin, please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Chandra. My name is Sachin.
Hi,
So,
Sachin.
I just want to ask, do you think the financial transactions is still using the OTP technique right now in India? Do you think with the help of AI, we can prevent such kind of financial fraud in India? Because people are calling to each and everyone, to anyone and just ask for the OTP and get the transactions done, right? So
Yeah.
I'm just asking, what do you think? What's the future of financial transactions in India to make it more secure, actually? Is there any other technique or with the help of AI, we can prevent the financial fraud, something.
Uh, thank you, Sachin. I know this is a time of AI and ChatGPT, and that's the era we are kind of living in. But maybe I think right now, yes, we follow various. The authentication happens through mostly the OTP or email verifications, and or initially there used to also be a missed call verification for a call verification from banks for very big transaction amounts. But now obviously the calls have died out, and what happens is through your OTP and through your email, I'm hoping that there could be a certain AI which could probably be built, which could probably filter from its end the kind of messages we are getting or the kind of calls we are getting, so that before they come to our systems they get filtered out. Because we become victim because they have access to our phone numbers, they have access to our emails. Once they come into our area, into our space, I would hope that maybe AI could help, wherein there could be probably an app or something created where we install in our systems, and we could probably track the misleading informations at the source, or it gets filtered before we actually start acting on it. Because sometimes many of us even click a link unknowingly, or we can kind of happen to answer a phone unknowingly. So it's not many times also intentional. As much aware as you are, they become so insistent and so insistent with with non-stop calling and non-stop messaging, that sometimes you do fall prey to it. The most educated ones of us also go through that. So I hope, yes, I think AI could be a solution to maybe a lot of these problems, but we also have to be ready with that AI will come with its own pros and cons as well. We can't be like totally reliant on it. But yes, I think it can probably help us to minimize what's going on right now. I hope I answered your question, Sachin.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
Ma'am, there is one question related to insurance. Like, what is the role of insurance in protecting against financial fraud, and what types of policies are available?
So, financial frauds, I think, so when it comes to insurance, as we all know, that insurance basically means that something has to happen for us to get that security, right? That unforeseen incident has to occur. And I hope it doesn't occur in most of the cases, because it's many of us as hard-earned money, and we it's our savings, and those kind of things. So yes, the insurance can play a very major role in trying to secure people against these kind of frauds, because we all are open to that risk, each one of us, right? So like with maybe would be nice. I know there is cyber security policies, and the kind of security is there from the insurance houses, wherein there is organizational insurance policies where the entire data, or the entire how to safeguard kind of the leakage of all the information, or if there is some information or something stolen, there is a security like that. I think even a similar security, it will be, because it's also an unforeseen, unpredictable, basically, right? That's the main key kind of properties for an insurance policy to be issued. It has to be unpredictable, and I think this fraud, as certain as we are, but we know that maybe not all of us are going to face it. But people who face it, I think it will be not a very bad idea to pay a certain premium and take that security for all of us. Be it, I don't know if you guys, SMC people from SMC, would be best people to let us know that if my bank account gets stolen, other than bank, can SMC, can the insurance company really provide me that coverage? So it will be great if they are willing to take that risk and give us that coverage. Then maybe people would, that will also be a way of creating more and more awareness and letting people know that we got to safeguard ourselves from these kind of fraudulent practices also. So just like how we have various policies for for an organization, in terms of the data security, the software security, the copyright. Similarly, if we could have something for an individual to prevent from these kind of fraudulent practices, it would be a great innovation, along probably with AI, so that we can reduce and minimize that risk of these kind of things happening.
Definitely, ma'am. But like, how can individuals and businesses recover from financial fraud, and what resources are available to assist with this process?
So I'll tell you, whenever a fraud happens to an individual or an organization, you feel hurt. because you feel kind of cheated, right? So you feel hurt. But trust me, you and me are not the only people on this entire on this planet who go through that. Many people have gone through that and are probably in future also going to go through that. It's just that we can focus on safeguarding ourselves as much as possible with whatever tools are available. I mean, if we have to invest in those tools, maybe on our PCs or on our phones, it'll be nice to have that security going for us. But we should not be sitting with it and feeling sad that, why me? It could be anybody. So we should be like, learn to move on with it, but we should ensure where are we, how we are sharing our passwords, where are we using our banking details on open wi-fi's, public wi-fi's. We should never use our phones, or not connect it to those open wi-fi's. We have this tendency to connect our wi-fi's to the airports, to various other public places. We should stop doing that, be it our PCs, be it, because that's where most of us are spending most of our day now. So yeah, it could be hurting safeguards as possible. And don't answer calls from international numbers, because you might feel it's somebody trying to reach out to you, but trust me, that's all scams. Don't fall for too true to be an option on the internet, where they're saying on an Instagram post, or the new form of scam, as you asked, is also one where AI and new scam. But I was saying to Sachin that the pros and cons. AI as apparently using Kareena Kapoor, and if Sachin Tendulkar has just filed a case against one of the companies for using his name in order, and using his name and his voice for some product which is fat reducing product, and he's sued those guys, right? So you have to be very careful, just because the AI can now so with AI things, these kind of things are going to become more prevalent, but we have to use our head. We have to really use our head and not be emotional about it. And sometimes don't go for those lucrative you buy 4 things for just 1,000 rupees. Stop going for those kind of things, because they will make sure you have filled up all the bank details. The next moment, your bank account is empty. So just take a breath before going for those kind of transactions. Don't go for too good to be true kind of offers anywhere. It's not possible. Those are untrue.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, do you think that scams targeting senior citizens differ from other types of financial fraud? And what measures can be taken to protect this vulnerable population?
So you see, senior citizens are generally people who are generally who are physically more weaker, and they are vulnerable, and they are more emotional also, right? And they are scared. They don't understand these technologies, and they don't understand people who are calling them, and they are like, we all would know that all our older people would answer all the calls. They think that somebody, if one call, say similar numbers, say if you've got 5 6 missed calls, they would answer that thinking that, oh my god, this person needs me. So, might be sounding repetitive, but trust me, this is what happens most of the time, wherein, the scamsters know, and it's very difficult it's very easy actually to profile things. If Facebook and Instagram and many of these about tools we use for marketing and branding, we can use the algorithms for profiling in terms of demography, geography, age bracket. I'm sure so do these scamsters. So they do target the older, because they are the most emotional and weak and vulnerable, and probably they're also at that stage or age in life where they have maximum amount in savings and not from recurring incomes, right? So it is very easy for them to get hold of these people and give them, like, and our my parents, if they're from a working class, they would be more than happy to get that additional 5,000 rupees, 6,000 rupees, thinking it's coming out of nothing. Because that's what they offer these people. And one of my far off grandmom did face that, and luckily she didn't have too much in her bank account, and from 1,200 rupees a transaction, it became 12,000 because it costed her 12,000 rupees that was in her account, and account became absolutely empty. So nobody will give you a form to fill up when you're doing an online transaction. Who gives a form? So, and they don't understand much of these technologies. So, we also need to guide them, or probably tell them to, do all these transactions in our presence if we understand it more than what they understand. Because they will take a longer time to recover from any of this, fraudulent practices than maybe you and me. So we've got to be, so the way we can protect them is, again, educate them. We need to educate them. We need to tell them that, we are constantly being eyed by these people who are invisible, and who could just come to us and take away all our life savings. So we've got to be very, very careful.
Definitely, ma'am. It's very sad to see that these scammers are like targeting senior citizens.
Yeah. Senior citizens, greedy people, people
Greedy
who
people,
think,
poor people.
poor people, everybody is targeted. So, I mean, if Sachin Tendulkar can be targeted, I think anybody can be targeted.
Yes. So, ma'am, that's all from my side. Is there anyone who would like to answer, ask questions? Anybody having any other question, query? I hope all the questions, all the queries have been already answered by ma'am. So thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your valuable
Thank you,
viewpoints on this
Manshi. Thank you
topic.
for having me. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for being there. Thank you.
Thanks to all the participants for attending the session. It's very important to be aware of the risks of financial fraud. And I'm glad that we were able to come together to learn more about how to protect ourselves. So thank you again, Chandra ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.